Now, the other game in England's World Cup group tomorrow will be USA against Iran. It'll have a huge bearing on who qualifies for the knockout stages. Both countries have been holding news conferences today that have been more about politics than football. Our senior reporter.
I did play well last night. I played really well last night. I had I had a 19 kill game. Like I was kind of cracked.
Reporter Tim Thornton was there for us, and he joins us now. Afternoon to you, Tim. It seemed very much that the game took a back seat at these two press conferences.
Are you mad that so many of your viewers don't watch you game? I mean, I'm not mad. I do think that it's like, I do think that it's a fun experience for everyone that has like originally turned around and said like, oh, I didn't used to watch you game, but then I like I gave it once. I gave it a shot one time, and I actually really enjoy it now. The reason why I get upset is because people immediately leave as soon as I start gaming, and they don't give it a shot. But when they do, they enjoy it because it's like a lot cozier. It's a lot more chill, you know. But unfortunately, there's a lot of news perverts in here. Oh, holy shit, I'm being seen. I'm afraid. I mean, fine. I didn't say anything bad.
Yeah, it certainly did, Rob. It was very, very strange, to be perfectly honest. A lot of direct questioning and a political undercurrent throughout the course of both press conferences. We'll start with the USA because there was talk about the US Soccer Federation's decision not to use the Islamic Republic of Iran on their social media, the flag on their social media post. That was one of the questions that was asked to the USA head coach, Greg Berhalter. He apologized for that. He said the players weren't aware of that, but they offered their support to Iran, and he said he wanted to concentrate very much on the football. There was then a very direct question to the USA captain, Tyler Adams. That came from an Iran state journalist. He asked the question about what it was like to lead a team where there was racism in the country. He talked about Black Lives Matter as well. And this was the response from the USA captain.
This question is for you. My name is Mila Javamardi from Press TV. First of all, you say you support the Iranian people, but you're pronouncing our country's name wrong. Our country is named Iran, not Iran. Please, once and for all, let's get this clear. Second of all, are you okay to be representing a country that has so much discrimination against black people in its own borders? And we saw the Black Lives Matter movement over the past few years. Are you okay to be representing the US? Meanwhile, there's so much discrimination happening against black people in America.
My apologies on the mispronunciation of your country. Yeah, that being.
I think the point he was trying to make is that like the Iranian players represent the Iranian nation, but more importantly, the Iranian people. Okay, just like the American players are not representing the American state, but the American people in a similar capacity. So even though there is like chaos at home, the point is that like you just still play. Right? You just still play, and you play for your own citizens. You're not playing for your fucking you're not playing for police brutality. And plenty of people have criticized the American nation state as well. I think it's perfectly acceptable. It's just whataboutism. You're reading too much into it. He's saying shut up and dribble. Wait, what? Bro, Iranian players get asked that question nonstop. The fuck do you mean? You said this kid is 23. How old are the Iranian players? Like, is it okay when they're 25? Is it okay when they're 26? What do you mean? I think like there's snark associated with that take. And also, whenever people talk about like, the unjustifiable actions that like a nation state takes on its own people, okay, you have to literally, you have to consider the material conditions that country, the material conditions that the people of that country are experiencing on top of that. Okay, I don't know anything about this reporter. I'm not even defending the reporter. I'm just simply stating that, like, it is interesting that a lot of people are immediately upset at this question when, like, I said similar things. Like, American athletes protest the American government regularly for police brutality, okay, and for other things like that. And, of course, the American state's oppression and the American state's, like, enforcement mechanism is not going to be as brutal or as gruesome as Iran's state oppression, because Iran's material conditions are very different than America's material conditions. You are comparing you're comparing the wealthiest nation on earth and what we do in the wealthiest nation on earth to literally one of the poorest nations, okay? One that is left behind by design as a consequence of worldwide sanctions. This does not justify the Iranian state's actions against its own people, and it's not even fucking, it's not even equivalent. Like, there is no moral equivalence, of course. What Iran is doing is horrific. What Iran has done is worse. But for some fucking reason, everyone always turns around and uses that as an out for, like, America's crimes. When we're in America, we're talking about American politics, or we're talking about, like, American citizens. Like, I don't know. Iran doing awful things to its own protesters doesn't all of a sudden make it, nicer to should sedate you into not wanting better material conditions for American citizens.
Being said, there's discrimination everywhere you go. One thing that I've learned, especially from living abroad in the past years and having to fit in different cultures and kind of assimilate into different cultures, is that in the U.S. we're continuing to make progress every single day. Growing up for me, I grew up in a white family with obviously an African American heritage and background as well. So I had a little bit of different cultures, and I was very very easily able to assimilate in different cultures. So not everyone has that ease and the ability to do that, and obviously it takes longer to understand. And through education, I think it's super important.
I think he also did a decent job navigating through the questions. In my opinion,
you just educated me now on the pronunciation of your country. So it's a process. I think as long as you see progress,
he's just trying. Everybody's shitting on him. Like, he's just trying to fucking navigate through the space in the least, like, edgy way possible. Song speaking is like a class, because once you zone out and then you go back into paying attention, you're so lost. Wait, what?
So some tough questions there for Tyler Adams, Tim. What about the Iran head coach, Carlos Queiroz? What did he come up against?
Well, it was very strange with him as well. As he entered the auditorium, there was applause from some of the Iran state journalists and applause when he answered some of his questions as well. He was asked directly about Jurgen Klinsmann's comments about the culture of Iranian football. Now, he got drawn into a political debate.
For the record, if you also recognize that, like, a 23-year-old doesn't want to, like, offend anyone when asked a political question by an Iranian journalist, then you should definitely recognize what those questions look like when you're talking about, like, Russian players or when you're talking about Iranian players, especially when you also understand that the stakes are probably a little bit higher for said athletes in their own home territory. So, like, and that's something that they fucking answer all the goddamn time. Russia isn't playing Lamau. I know. I'm just bringing up Russia as a fucking example because Russian athletes play all around the fucking world. And by the way, some of them are yee as fuck and, like, pushing Z or whatever the fuck. Just like we have yee ass athletes here too. Yeah, look, I agree for the most part, except for the case of Ovechkin and other players who have platform Putin and actively promoted his crack-ass talking boys. Yeah, dude, what do you think? You think Aaron Rodgers is a normal guy? You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro. Yeah, they're fucking athletes. Yeah, they have fucking sick, twisted, reactionary sickos in every part of the fucking planet.
earlier in the week at his last press conference. Not today, though. He played that very much with a straight bat and said he didn't really want to comment on that. And he talked about respect and principles. He also was
Brett Favre literally stole from a children's fund, dude. Mr. Wrangler commercial ass Brett fucking Favre, dude. Like, these guys are not exactly great, okay? There's plenty of great examples of athletes, okay? And then there's athletes who are just awful. Other countries talk shit about the U.S. when it's way more socially progressive than them. Says Ron Paul fan. U.S. is one of the most socially progressive countries in the world, right? U.S. is the wealthiest country on the planet, okay? It is the wealthiest country on the planet. It should be the most socially progressive country on the planet. And yet, regardless of some of the amenities, like not murdering people immediately for the crime of being gay, you still have plenty of examples where you have right-wing sick freaks that are institutionalized with their insanely anti-LGBT rhetoric that end up allowing other psychotic, stochastic acts of terror to occur in LGBT communities, okay? You are talking about the most progressive country on the planet. It should be the most progressive country on the planet, okay? And yet it still doesn't have fucking healthcare, statewide healthcare. That's insane. We don't have public housing. We don't have social housing. We don't have fucking national healthcare, okay? Despite the fact that this entire economy is propped up with blood, okay? Brown children's blood and oil. You also are talking about a country where 9 unelected sick freaks with bathrobes on got to decide, well, not all 9 of them, but got to decide that, like, women can't fucking get abortions anymore. It's, like, no longer protected. So, yeah, you win some, you lose some, brother, okay? What's going on? It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than most when it comes to equality. Okay, well, in a country like Turkey, there is literally public health care. Okay, there's private health care and there's public health care. Guess what, though? Turkey also, on top of that, allows you to get a state-sponsored abortion if you want to. So there's places where they have better amenities, even in a country like Turkey. Also, Americans love avoiding the entirety of Europe. For some weird reason, whenever we talk about, like, countries, it's always like, well, you know, in comparison to fucking, Ghana, America is very progressive. In comparison to Iran, America is very progressive. It's like, bro, there's like so many fucking countries right there on the map, dog. Canada is right there above us, which is like the NA version of an EU country. Like, why? Why are you looking at places that, of course, have more reactionary governance formations as a consequence of constantly being a fucking state of war by Western profiteers extracting their their natural resources? Like, you're literally, it's just the maximum level of cope. Canada is great if you're not native. Brother, I'm going to keep it $150 with you. Canada, native treatment in Canada, still awful, of course. Indigenous genocide is still very real. Still better than the United States of America, okay? It's not great, but it's still better than the U.S. If we're talking about, like, which country is more progressive, then yes, Canadian indigenous treatment is literally better than U.S. indigenous treatment. Our reservations have, like, nuclear fallout, okay, in its water supply. That is, if they're lucky enough to even have working water supply, like a working water system inside of our fucking reservations. And yeah, I didn't say it's like a lot better. I'm just saying it's still better in comparison. My reservation has an open uranium mine on it. Jesus Christ.
Asked about the flag, and his response to that was to talk about the importance of this game for the Iranian people. And he talked about the mission to bring a smile to the faces of the people for at least 90 minutes.
Until today, I used to go and work in places, and you don't.
Canada is only thought of as worse because they addressed the genocide. Yeah, Canada addressed it and was like, oops, sorry for the genocide. There's also like a compensation mechanism from the government, if I'm not mistaken. If you can like prove you're native, if you can prove that you're First Nation, they give you money or a tax break on top of that, right? Don't they? Isn't that a thing? There's like what is it? A tax-free card? Something like that. Comparing Canadian treatment of First Nations to the USA is like comparing a 4.5 shit to a 5 shit. Okay, my point was, it's still, like, the conversation started because I said, America is not the most progressive nation on the planet, even though it should be, okay? And Americans love fucking acting like other countries don't exist. Canada, albeit marginally, okay, when it comes to the treatment of Indigenous people, is still marginally better than America, but still significantly better when it comes to like social progressivism in the fucking country in comparison to the amenities and also some of the social safety nets that it offers. That doesn't mean it's fucking perfect. I never say Canada's great, okay? Make no mistake, Canadians. I'm not saying your country's good. It's shit. It's just less shit than America. I'm talking to a fucking psychotic American here who literally thinks that like other countries don't exist. My Lord.
Know what one simple ball can make in kids that sometimes for 1 day or 2 days they don't eat, they don't have nothing to dress. And when we stop the cars, we open the cars and we put one ball in those parks, and you cannot imagine the magic moment that happen in the faces of kids, and from sadness they change in one fraction to smile. This is our mission in football.
But as we mentioned, Tim, it is a massive game for both nations tomorrow. So was there much chat about the match itself?
Chats like that. It's interesting that the countries our State Department says bad stuff. Wow, they don't understand how much prod we eat. Yes. A lot of people don't fucking understand. Yeah, I did see Kai roast my drip. I did. And me and XUC and Ludwig, we saw this yesterday. Yeah, it's just like, it's American copium, okay? It's like the highest level of American copium, which is when you look at like other countries that are bad and you go, oh, that country is so bad. Like you're not the United States of America. And for a brief moment, it makes you feel good, right? You're like, oh, at least we're like talking about someone else who's bad. And then someone like myself comes around and says, well, you know, we're bad too. Remember how bad we are? Because like we are in America right now. And we have done like unimaginable amounts of cruelty to every other country and unimaginable amounts of cruelty to our own citizens, especially when considering how much good we could do to other countries and ourselves. And then you get super mad. You're like, what the fuck? Why are you telling me? I'm feeling good about America right now. I want to feel good about America in this moment. And you're doing the classic America bad shit. Oh, your entire analysis revolves around America bad, America bad, America bad. You know? I tell you when America does good things, okay? I'm sorry that you can't feel fucking patriotic for a brief moment, all right? The observation that America is not perfect should be an argument enough to try to improve our nation. Exactly.
Yeah, there was a little bit of chat, Rob, and there was a mutual respect from both of the coaches. Carlos Queiroz, for example, talked about how he'd worked very early on at the start of the MLS and how he'd seen soccer grow in the US. He talked about it growing from soccer into football now, and he talked about the performances in the first two games of the USA. He thought they'd been the best team in the group and had shown the most consistency. And as for Greg Berhalter, well, he was very, very keen to stress that this was a huge game for his side. A must-win game, of course, for the USA, and he was trying to keep the focus.
Yeah, but you started with Canada and they got defensive about making America worse, and that's like comparing Russia versus Germany genociding Jews. Like, they're both horrible and acknowledging helps. We overdid it a bit. Okay, that's actually a really good fucking take. Which one's the one you know about more and talk about more? Yeah, no, that's a great take, actually. Are you saying that, like, USSR treatment of Jews, which was fucking disastrous and awful under Stalin, is akin to the Holocaust? Because that would be anti-Semitism. You would be dealing with anti-Semitism, even like ADL and all these other fucking organizations do not say that. Like the Never Again Foundation or all of these other fucking literally all of these organizations that would consider that to be like minimizing the impact of the Holocaust. Also, I mean, Lenin was fucking literally an Lenin was definitely pro Jewish people. He was talked specifically about anti-Semitism. So anyway,
Focus.
You see the writer of Andor says he based the hero on young Stalin. I did not, but I did actually feel that off of like the things that he was doing. I mean, come on, bank robbery. Jews were literally treated worse under the Russian Empire than the USSR aside from the Stalin years. Yes. I don't think that chatter is talking about the Tsar, though. I think that chatter is talking about the USSR under Stalin's rule. Anyway. Yeah, but it's a little different, though, because every time you mention another country, you have to bring America into it, which is fine. America's terrible, I agree, but I think people just get tired of every single topic coming back to the U.S. Like, for the time, discuss the topic fully. And not bring up the same U.S. bad talking points for the 100x time. Yeah, that's, again, copium. It's because you want to fucking feel better about America for a brief moment. I'm an American citizen. I want to make this country better. My job is to agitate you. My job is to fucking educate you. My job is to show you America's issues, America's failures. Because if America fixes its shit, it'll make it easier for other countries to be able to fix this shit as well. If we're talking about a USA-Iran game, there are like 1,100 different fucking points that I could point to with respect to like what America has done to Iran that has led Iran to become the country that it is. Okay? You just want to be coddled about America. You want to feel good about America in comparison by thinking about how shitty Iran is. But then like it's fucking crazy. It's crazy not to bring up America's faults and failures in that conversation, which I haven't even gotten to aside from like the sanctions, you know? Do people from comparable nations like New Zealand or the Scandinavian Peninsula come to the U.S. and fucking hate it? What does that tell us? Yeah, they don't want to talk about that. America bad check. What do we do to fix it? What do you do to fix it? What do we do to fix it outside of sitting here complaining every day? Great fucking question. I talk about this quite frequently as well. Okay? As it stands, Americans do not even have fucking class consciousness. So the first stage, or what I try to do, is at least instill a little bit of class consciousness within the American population, at least as best as I can in my little pocket of the internet, okay? A little corner of the internet. From that class consciousness will arise an interest in organizing, because we currently do not have a mechanism of pushback to force at least one of the two major parties to do our bidding, okay? I mean, you act like this is not a real thing, or you act like this is not something I talk about, but it is 100% something I talk about. Labor unions are the best way that you can create a mechanism of change within this country. The best way to create external pressure on the Democratic Party, at the very least, that currently does not exist. Okay? Not only do we organize, not only do we push for labor unions, we also organize locally in our communities and, get people in local positions so they can make meaningful change immediately in people's lives. I mean, Hugo Soto Martinez is a great example, council district member for the 13th district in California. In Los Angeles. He's now on the council. He's a socialist. He's a Unite Here labor union organizer. That's one meaningful improvement that this community has participated in. That's one meaningful improvement that I personally have tried to do my very best to participate in. I've done fundraisers with him. I've had him on this broadcast. You know what I mean? I talk to him from time to time. It's just, it's the best you can do. Ultimately, I'm a singular person. I think if you ask me what I do individually to fix it, I can give you plenty of examples, but that ultimately still it's not going to be a real game changer. Society prospers when old men plant seeds or trees that they will never see and sit in the shades of, okay? We talk about this all the fucking time. You just got to build it brick by brick. You have to first build a mechanism of change, rebuild a mechanism of pushback. Were the sanctions good? No, the sanctions are unjustifiable and awful. Anyway. I agree, but you lost me with that saying. Very good and calm answer to a question that you're asked 5,000 times a day. Yeah, and oftentimes it's like a very snarky way of asking that question too.
Very, very much on the football. So yeah, both coaches didn't give us too much information in terms of team news, but they were very clear that
It's boring. Took the soda clip to heart. I did take the soda clip to heart. I don't want people to think I'm a fucking asshole. What is this? The Lutheran speech from Andor? What? I don't care about